cuffs are off, man. Get right, too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave, I'ma get right, down to the bottom and scratch it for all the...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up everybody, it's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I gotta give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do you want to lose your league?
Our league, check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go and roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. We're only 45 more days away from Week 1 NFL kickoff, September 5th, Ravens Chiefs, and only 10 days away from the Hall of Fame game, August 1st. We have football, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So...
It's on.
How you doing, Frank? How does that make you feel, man?
What's up? I'm excited. It's finally here. Finally something to talk about, even if it is the Hall of Fame game. Finally some football to see, and then more to come soon after that. So I'm excited to see just, again, preseason, see how these rookies are looking. I'm an eye test guy, so I like to see the plays, and I like to see the preseason get started and see those young players out there. And just to see, kind of see if they're going to be able to produce for the team, if they're not, shell shocked, or if they're just ready to, start off. Some of especially the quarterbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quarterbacks sometimes sink or swim in the NFL, and it's hard. Even if they had the best pedigree going in, it doesn't always pan out in the NFL. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff to be checking out this year. I'm excited
For sure, man.
I'm obviously excited, just excited in general.
Yeah, dude, we're super excited, man.
And I still want to get a couple more mocks in on Underdog before even the season starts, just because, that way no preseason has happened, no preconceptions starting, no injuries really as of late. So we should be good.
For sure. We got Rafi in the house saying, oh yeah, it's football almost here. Hall of Fame game is going to hit like crack. Welcome, Tycoon. How's it going? Time to get right, like he says. Frank, tell the ladies and gentlemen what we're doing here during the off season for a couple more weeks, and then I'll tell them about our little mock draft tournament we have starting next week already.
Currently, we do, since you're talking about mock draft tournaments, we do the Friday night mocks. That's what we're known for. That's what we like to do. So come join us on Friday nights, hit our sleeper channel, and you can get in on a mock with us, and then we go ahead and grade it. That's what we're going to do tonight. So we're going to grade that mock draft. But right now, it's Dynasty focused in May. June focus, we got the Scott Fish Bowl. That's ending right now. I just barely finished my draft. Actually, I think there's still like a couple guys picking still, but it's pretty much over. And right now in July, we're redraft focused, obviously, because now the season's about to start and all the redraft is happening. So we're going to get some of that going. And then we're going to get into a mock draft tournament that Anthony's going to mention here. So right now in July, we're alternating between Superflex and 1 QB redraft mocks, along with 2 wide receiver and 3 wide receivers for Friday night mock series, right? So every other night you'll get a different one. Again, if you're interested in joining, hit our Sleeper channel. The link's in the description, so check it out. You can send us a DM on Sleeper or Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it now, and get an early invite for that on live, so you could get live on Friday with us. So it's a whole production. We got to get everybody on here and get all started together. But it's pretty cool to be mocking live and just having live feedback on that. So again, Mondays, we're doing the reaction to the grades. Check it out. Just going on team and draft strategy and breakdowns and suggestions on that may help you guys here prepare for the upcoming redraft season as we get into it, as well as the mock draft tournament, for your home league drafts. On Wednesdays, we're going to start doing more underdogfantasy.com best ball live drafts. So I have that notifications turned on. Anthony and I will be doing that here pretty soon, especially as the preseason starts, and then we'll just get more mocking going on as well. So, and since we got I guess that's it, really. What's going on with the tournament here, eh?
Yeah, there we go. It was nice not hearing myself talk for like the first 5 minutes. That's always nice. I like that you've taken over some of those duties there. Really appreciate it. You nailed it. By the way, but yeah, for those of you guys who are wondering what the heck is a mock draft tournament, something that Dustin kind of thought up of one night, and I kind of put it into fruition. He and I worked on it for the first couple years. We ironed out the kinks and feel like we have a good setup for it now. But basically, what we do is starting next week, we're going to run mock drafts Monday through Thursday at a certain time, so you can pick, what you're doing, or as far as what time you're drafting. For those East and West Coast folks, we'll have different times for you. We're basically going to randomize the drafts 3 times when you get in there. You'll mock your team. Basically, the Get Right guys here, we're going to rank our teams 1 through 6, and we're going to take the average score or total points for that team. The highest 3 scoring consensus teams will move on to the semifinal mock draft on Friday night. And then basically those 4 mocks that we do for the semifinal rounds, we're going to take the top 3 from each one of those, basically creating our elite 12, like the best of the best drafters that we have. We're going to throw all of them into a best ball league and actually play it out. And the winner's going to win $50 cash. It's no entry to join. Tell your friends about it. Come get in. It's a lot of fun. And just more importantly, it's all about just getting that practice, getting those mocks in every week with a good competitive group of guys who know what they're doing. So it's going to be a lot better than, maybe jumping into some of the random mocks where you draft 1 or 2 picks and then everyone's on auto for the rest of it. So come get your draft skills sharpened with us Monday through Thursday, and then hopefully make that top 3 to come draft with us live on Friday nights.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it, man. Let's get the people what they came here for tonight. So we're going to get into these team breakdowns and get our grades going for the mock that we did last Friday. So while we roll our sleeves up here and get this draft board pulled up, Frank, I have a quick question for you. Tell me a wide receiver and or running back. You can go 1 or 2 or both or whatever you feel like. Just who are you finding yourself drafting a lot of, or kind of targeting in those later rounds, like rounds 8 through 12? Like, what are some names that you don't mind kind of reaching on, regardless of what ADP is going to be? You just want them on your bench.
I'm looking at Christian Watson. I know that last year he had injuries with the hamstring, and he should be fine. When he was on the field, even though Reed was there, Dontavian Wicks is coming up. Even Dobbs has a good role over there. But weeks 5 through 13, he led the team in target share of 17.7%, and he had end zone targets, about 14 end zone targets. And as long as he stays healthy in that offense, I think he was their number 1. I know that everybody kind of gravitated towards Reed and what he was doing because he did play well. I just think that the numbers there for Christian Watson. I remember last year I mentioned he was projected Megatron numbers with reach and what he can do and his ability. I think it just needs to be having that full healthy season in order to show his full potential.
Yeah, gotta get those hamstrings firing correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Once you're done with those, because those hammies, they'll just bug you all year long. You know what I mean? Like they get tight or whatever, or start twitching a little bit on you. You're not even trying to run out there anymore. So that's somebody I've been targeting a lot. Another guy that I don't mind as a running back is Zach Moss.
Okay.
Last year with Indy, this year with Cincinnati, he's got a lead role. He did all right in Indy. 14 games, 794 yards, 5 touchdowns. I just think that he could get a better opportunity over there in Indianapolis. They are, I believe, a good pass team now that Burrow's healthier. Also, they still have Higgins and help me out, Chase over there. They're just doing great.
I thought you meant Jermaine Burton, like the new rookie. But yeah, I didn't know how you're going to forget about Chase. Yeah,
I'm just saying Chase and Higgins still around because he was, he's been fighting that whole contract situation. Kind of like, and again, like you mentioned, they acquired Jermaine Burton. Let's see how he does. So it doesn't have to run through the running back, but I think he'll be able to produce some good numbers late. Because he is a starter, and you could get him in the 9th, 10th round. So I think there's a lot of good value for that. You know what I mean? Like it's just so late and he's still a
Right.
starter on the team. Why not?
And a
You know what I mean?
high-powered team at that,
Yeah,
right? That likes
exactly.
to
Like
run the ball in a nasty defense or in a nasty division. That's all
yeah,
about, just brute force, good defense. So yeah, the opportunity is going to be there. We'll see what happens with it. So those are definitely some good names. Some that I kind of had in mind. Watson was one of mine as well.
oh
So
really? Oh nice.
that'll be interesting when you and I are drafting together in our home leagues on who pulls the trigger on Watson first there. But a couple running backs that I like in those 8 to 12 rounds are going to be, and you're kind of finding them all kind of go back to back to back. But basically, I'm liking Tajay Spears, Jerome Ford, Brian Robinson, probably ahead of both of them. And then someone like Zach Charbonnet. I just think those are some running backs that I find myself targeting late. My hero and zero RB builds that I like to do, whether it be best ball or redraft. And then as far as the wide receivers in that range that I'm looking at, I like, besides Watson, I'll kind of stick maybe there. Keon Coleman definitely interests me, potentially being, the number one or even number two if you want to count Kincaid as Josh Allen's number one target. But obviously, what was it, 160, 180 something, targets that were
vacated targets.
vacated there in that offense, coming from probably the best arm in the game, at least second best, so to speak, from a fantasy output. That's definitely a name that, kind of pops off the page to me in that round for the potential upside. Some later guys in that range would be someone like Jerry Jeudy. You're essentially getting for free. That could be at least just like a wide receiver 3. I don't need him to do anything crazy, especially with the Amari Cooper contract situation. Who knows what happens if Deshaun is healthy? I don't think, really Elijah Moore or any of the kind of rookies, Cedric Tillman, some of these other guys that they've drafted. There could be an opportunity there. They obviously wanted him, signed him. So we'll see what happens there. And then, really nobody else, but Rashad Bateman, he goes maybe a little later than that, but yeah, those names definitely stand out to me. So with that said, we'll get this thing going as we have here.
On
Got
that
the draft
Bateman
board up.
news, I
Oh
just
yeah,
seen
yeah.
today there was a little blurb about him on Sleeper. Let me look it up, see if I can find it.
Oh yeah, it was just Harbaugh saying that he's going to
Yeah.
be a top receiver in this league and all this guy. I mean, I
Which
don't
is
really
good.
believe
It's coach speak,
it's
but I
better than
mean,
saying he needs to work on stuff and still needs to develop. I
exactly.
guess.
It's
Yeah.
more of a positive tone, and I like hearing that. You know what I mean? It just sounds a little bit better than I mean. I just picked him up in the Scott Fish Bowl in like around 19, 18.
Right.
Yeah,
I
way
mean, yeah,
down
like you
there.
said, it's better than like Javonte Williams. Like, is he even going to make the team between him and P Ryan? Like, it's better than being in
Yeah.
that kind of
Oh, that's a
situation.
terrible situation,
Yeah.
especially with P right now. You got to be kidding me. You can't be P right now.
Right,
Come on.
right. So, poor Javonte, man. I mean, he was like a top 3 running back in Dynasty just like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Heading into that before he tore his
Like the
ACL. So,
it's like the Melvin Gordon fall.
yeah, just
Remember
straight
that?
down,
He went
straight
from
down.
like the top to the bottom real quick.
There it is. Now we're getting into fantasy years past. Look at us showing
Right?
our age. All right, let's get this thing started, man. The people came here to get this thing graded and get the feedback going. Why don't you go ahead and read off team 1 here, and then give me, or read off team 1. I'll give you, so it's more like a volley. You read it off. I'll give you my take, and then you can follow it up, and then I'll take the next team. How does that sound?
All right. No worries. So we got Kravitz coming in the first spot right here. He took McCaffrey overall. First overall, I mean, what do you expect, right? It comes back with Nico Collins and Derrick Henry. So and this is a 1 QB, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex league. I want to mention that so that
Half
way when
PPR.
half PPR. So when you're looking at this and considering what he's doing as far as he's drafting, consider the positions that you're trying to fill and 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. So anyway, so he goes McCaffrey, Nico, Derrick Henry. Then he comes up with Dalton Kincaid as his tight end in the 4th. Taking him pretty high. I think he could wait a little bit, but Amari Cooper, Xavier Worthy, another 2 wide receivers. And he picks up Najee Harris in the 7th. That's not a bad spot. And he gets Caleb Whittam in the 8th, given with the rookie QB there in Chicago. Brock Bowers, another rookie tight end. Then he goes a nice little run of wide receivers: Khalil Shakir, Troy Franklin, and Dontavia Wicks. All of them who have a good upside right there. Finishes off with Jaleel McLaughlin. Again, we were just talking about that Denver backfield. He's looking like he's going to get a pretty good shot at it. And then Jalen McMillan rounding off the wide receivers here. So yeah, so you wanted to go and give your feedback on the first one?
Yeah, and then you'll go, and then I'll read off the next
All right.
team, so it's
Sounds
not
good.
too long for either one of
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So for this team here, Mr. Kravitz, again, appreciate you coming out. Make sure you guys are hitting that like and the subscribe button for us. My whole thing is, if you're drafting a rookie fairly early like this, I'd still like to take a second quarterback.
Yep.
On this team, just because again, rookie, he's still rookie. You know, even though he's one of the highly touted, one of the highly touted, prospects that have come out since Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence himself, who wasn't even drafted in this one. So I guess maybe it doesn't matter as much with guys like T. Law still on the wire per se. So other than that, just top notch running back room. Goes with a basic double hero RB build here, kind of with like an anchor wide receiver, if you will. Decent wide receiver room. They have good value and touchdown upside guys, especially for like a half PPR. Just a very young bench. Just a ton of lotto tickets. So this manager will definitely have to play that waiver wire game, which might be tough with a bench like this because you don't know which lotto ticket to kind of cut. So sometimes you kind of get stuck or aren't willing to necessarily pay the waiver wire price for a Kyron Williams or a Puka Nakua, not knowing what could potentially happen there. You might feel like the guy you drafted is the better bet.
And they're hard to trade away because there's just
the value's not quite there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Unless they've had that crazy 1 week, then you can sell high.
Exactly. And then so like to me also just kind of looks like this person maybe has been doing a lot of dynasty or even best ball type drafts, just because again, the type of guys that you're taking these younger rookie guys. But as studly built tight end room. So overall, I'll give this team a B minus. Where'd you come in at?
Yeah, I'm basically right there with you. I was going C plus B minus. I kind of high on the B minus side because of the wide receiving core, but I just felt that if you're going to take somebody like Dalton Kincaid in the 4th, there was no reason to take Brock Bowers in the 9th. He could have waited for another tight end later if you wanted the second tight end, or not went with them at all because again, you drafted so high in the tight end room that what's the point of having a backup that's a rookie at that? You know what I mean? Like you're not playing dynasty here. You're playing redraft. So you got to fill it out properly. Now, if it was dynasty, I wouldn't hate it as much, but again, like you said, it didn't take a second QB with the rookie. And like you're saying, even the highly touted T-Law didn't even get drafted, but that just goes to show you he came out as like the undefeated guy and still, you know what I mean? Like he's barely like a mediocre quarterback in the NFL. He's not even like, he's not in the top percent for sure. You know what I mean? So he's like an average quarterback. So he could, Caleb Williams could become the same thing. He could not pan out, so you always have to have a backup, I think, on when you're taking those rookie QBs. But yeah, other than that, I like the running back core that he does have. I mean, Derrick Henry's kind of old on the old side, which is, I thought he should have just took a wide receiver there, honestly. I'm fading Derrick Henry this year anyway, so like I'm not trying to draft him at all. I'll pass on him if I can, and I just don't want to deal with the age and how he's doing over there, and it's just I'm good.
Interesting.
Oh,
interesting.
Your device got disconnected there.
Yeah, so my internet's acting up just a smidge here, but I'll get it going unless you have the ability to go ahead and share the. If you want to open up a second screen just to share. But yeah, not too bad. I usually don't have internet problems, but tonight just seems to be one of those nights. But yeah, so we'll move on here with Team 2, Mr. Me. And I'm trying to get the board back up here so you guys can see.
I'll get it up right now in a little bit.
All right.
I just needed to get the. Give me a second. I'm gonna get the link up here into the show.
All right, just have it ready, just in case.
Yeah.
So I'll put it up now, but just have it ready just in case. All right. So sorry about that, guys. Little technical difficulty there. At least my camera's okay. Can you see it up there now?
Hold on.
Or am I still having problems?
No, there's nothing there. I'm getting the show on there right now.
Alright.
Here we go. I can share this.
Go ahead. Ooh, we'll just cut this part out on the editing side of things.
Sorry, guys.
The magic of TV. Sorry for you live viewers here.
There we
We'll
go.
get this
We're
thing
good.
going
We're
here
good to go.
shortly. All right, you're good. All right, yeah, because it's just StreamYards and not happening. All right, so let's get into it here, man. We got Team 2, Mr. Shimi. He goes with a heavy wide receiver build out of the gate, going CD Lamb, Chris Olave, and Malik Neighbors, followed by Trey McBride and Anthony Richardson. Then he goes round 6, David Montgomery, followed by Zamir White. Then takes his wide receiver 4 in Brian Thomas Jr. In round 8. Followed by a series of 5 running backs, rounds 9 through 13, which include Trey Benson as his RB3, Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Wright, Marcus Lloyd, and Kamani Vidal. Marshawn Lloyd. What'd I say, Marcus? And then JJ McCarthy to round it out in as his QB2 in round 14. So where did you come in on this team, and what's your feedback?
Well, I got to say, he started off great. I was like, look, he's got 3 good wide receivers. And he took CD Lamb, Chris Lavias and Elite Neighbors. That's great. But then he only took 1 more, and that was just in Brian Thomas. And I was like, that's it? I was like, what happened? And then he goes on this whole 5 running back run, which is, they're cool, but I mean, they're not all going to be tradable. I think got the best value in Kamani Vidal way late like that, but it's still I just don't see why he did all that. I don't get it. It was good. 3 wide receivers, the tight end gets Anthony Richardson. I was like, he's building a good core. Then he goes to the 2 running backs. Said we're good there. Then he goes another wide receiver, and I thought he was going to get another wide receiver there, or something. And then he just goes 5 running backs, and that's where he lost me basically. And I do like the JJ McCarthy pick late, just as a lottery ticket as a backup QB. Anyways, Anthony Richardson, hopefully he stays healthy this season. You got that dude's fire. So I just gave him a C plus because it had started off strong, but just died out.
All right. Also, move your mic over, I think, to your left a little bit, so when you turn your head towards that way, it still picks you up.
My bad.
But we'll work it out. We've done 1 or 2 shows before. We'll get this fixed out, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, for Shimi here, man, I think he went with the textbook 0 RB build. Waiting until the 6th, which is literally the textbook on how to properly build out a 0 RB build. Takes his elite onesie positions at tight end and quarterback, with 2 elite type guys that can be the number 1 in their respective position overall. So I think he executed that there flawlessly.
Yeah,
up until that point,
perfect.
Yep. Grab 2 running backs there, which I think is great, regardless of I'm not the biggest Zamir White fan, but I think David Montgomery is a nice RB1
Nice
considering
piece, yeah.
what you have up top. And then, like you said, you hit that Brian Thomas Jr., which is nice little kind of lotto ticket that maybe you pay up for, but now you got to kind of fill out the rest of your lineup. Maybe he just thought the running backs were just better values compared to the receivers there, but even if you would have just taken a Khalil Shakir, taken a Palmer or an AD Mitchell, or again Judy, like I was talking about earlier, something like that. In that position, I just think you needed at least 2 more wide receivers there.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see,
Just some more diversity
5 running
instead of
backs
5 running
max
backs.
versus 7, and only having the 4 wide receivers in a 3 wide receiver league plus a flex. It is still half PPR, and these guys aren't necessarily 3 down workhorse round 1 or 2 type running backs that you feel comfortable kind of throwing in that flex. So yeah,
At this point, you almost want to narrow down your choices so that way you don't have to be guessing who you're trying to start.
Right. And then you're he's taking a bunch of handcuffs, which I think he did correctly. Just too many of them. Just consolidate
Yeah.
that to maybe your top 3 out of those 5 guys and throw some receivers in there and call it a day. So
Yeah.
had he done that, it would have been definitely in that B plus, range.
Oh
I think
yeah.
he executed it well
B plus A
for
range.
that.
Like literally.
Literally. And but I'm right there with you, C plus B minus on this one. So
Yeah.
So let's get into team 3 here.
Are you good,
Oh yeah,
Tycoon?
you got to make sure I'm not seeing any comments, so keep an eye on the comments if we got anything in
I'm
there.
checking it out.
That's all you on the production side.
He
So
says not showing the whole board. It only shows 311. How do I fix that?
you have to what's it called? Like zoom your screen out. Yeah, the other way.
This way?
The other way.
What do you mean the other way? There's only one. It's either this way where he keeps the names on the top.
No, I just meant like zoom the entire screen out,
Oh,
like on your computer,
I don't know how to do that.
like control minus or like the scroll button down. There you go.
Oh, so you can see Brocal there?
Yeah, so you can see everybody in there. So while you work on that, we will get into Tycoon's team here. Speaking of which, so Tycoon, he's here drafted in the 3 spot. One of us here at Get Right, we normally don't go through his team, but we'll just kind of go through it real quick. He hasn't been on in a while, so we'll have him to defend his takes when he comes on here next. But shout out to you, Tycoon. I appreciate you joining us here in the chat tonight. So he goes Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, and Stephon Diggs. So very similar here to Shimi. Goes 4 pass catchers right out of the gate, then grabs that elite upside rushing quarterback and Lamar Jackson in the 5th, which is kind of pretty standard in this type of build. He basically still following them all the way down to running backs. They're basically mirrored side by side here, except for Tycoon goes DeAndre Hopkins as his wide receiver 5. So not a bad bet to make there. Brian Thomas Jr. You see how they're basically mirrored up to that point. But the difference is you see how Tycoon kind of mixed it up with some other pass catchers in there with Hawkinson and Schultz. Takes an upside swing with Hawkinson since he did wait and didn't grab someone like McBride. So he'll plug in Schultz until hopefully Hawkinson potentially gets back. Still a little early for me personally, but I see the thought process in the build. Then again, takes the 3 running backs and then grabs someone like Bateman here to round it out as his wide receiver 6. So who do you got? Or how did you rank Tycoon's team here?
Well, I'll tell you what, I really like this team. I liked how he did it because he didn't go for the tight end per se. You just went wide receiver. He skipped on McBride and Kincaid. So he stuck to his.
Move your mic over.
I said, well, he stuck to his guns in picking up another wide receiver as 4 wide receivers that he started off with, and then like you mentioned, Lamar, right? I like the 2 running backs right after that. That's textbook, right? 1-2 after that. And then he goes to D-Hop. That's where he lost me, the TJ Hawkinson. I think he could have waited on that guy and probably picked him up where he got Schultz at, if not lower. I don't think anybody's drafted him that high. I don't think that the value is going to offset where you're taking him at. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's still not sure when he's coming back and all that kind of stuff. Other than that, and maybe not having a backup QB is the only 2 knocks I have on it. I like where he got Dalton Schultz at. I like the wide receivers he took later. I like that he finished it off with another wide receiver at the end. So he ends up with a total of
stacking him with Lamar too.
Yeah.
So that was just brilliantly done.
Total of 6 receivers, about 5 running backs, 1 QB. I think it would have went with 2 QBs and just skipped on that second tight end and just picked with Dalton Schultz. I think I'd be comfortable with him. If not, taking somebody else up higher or something like that. Just not TJ. I would have just waited on TJ and reversed their 2 spots or whatever. But I still give him a B plus, man. I mean, other than not the TJ thing, I could have given him an A.
Right. I was right there as well, man. I'm at that B plus A minus kind of borderline for basically everything you said. So yeah. I won't elaborate too much on that. Tycoon knows what he's doing. That's why he's here on the channel with us, giving out his advice. So there you go. Well done. My guy. All right. So next here we have Ambassador Extraordinaire, Mr. Wilson 27.
He's got
So Frank, go
exactly
ahead
the
and
thought
read off his
process.
team. Yeah.
And he says, "I'll take it too." Smoking the Cat's up in here. What's up, Smoking the Cat?
Smokey,
What up, guys?
what up, man?
He's doing well.
Let's go.
On
44,
the 44
45.
days.
Only 3 hours left in day 45. Depending on when you're watching. So yeah, most likely 44 by the time people are
Vince
watching.
is in here also. Vince,
What's
good
up,
day,
Vince?
legends. What's the word?
Welcome to
we're going
the
with
auction league too. Shout out to the auction league by our boy
sure.
Ethan Epstein. So yeah, go ahead, read off
All right, so
team
we're taking
number
out
4.
Wilson 27 here. He starts off with Jamar Chase, and then he goes 2 RBs and Devon Achan and Rashad White. Then he picks up Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed over there, and then goes Evan Ingram, which seems to be a really good spot for him this year, around that 6th or 7th spot. I think that'd be good for him. Ends up with Joe Burrow as his a QB there. That's a nice spot in the 7th. Javonte Williams takes a shot at him. Let's see what happens over there that we were talking about earlier. But this guy's literally fighting for his position with Samaje Perine, so who knows?
Way too early.
Yeah, exactly, right. And then it goes Jacoby Myers, Rashid Shaheed, and Mike Williams, 3 wide receivers again. So he ends up with 6 total right there. Chuba Hubbard coming up as his 4th running back. Then he goes Josh Downs, who I like. It's a good flyer on him. And then Kirk Cousins to round it out, which is cool. I mean, that's a good backup, somebody steady Eddie type of guy there. Um, I think he missed on some players like the Javonte Williams that we were talking about there. I think that the team was pretty balanced though overall. The way he was taking some people, you got to see what happens with the Zay Flowers and Jaden Reed. Let's see if those two still pan out. Zay Flowers was balling out last year some though, so we'll see what happens if we can continue that. Where did I score him? Wilson, I went B plus A on that. Honestly, I kind of like the team.
There you go. Well, I think I was supposed to go first, but we'll get the flow of it.
I'll get the flow. Went right through the whole thing.
we're trying to make a change, but it takes time for us to get going. If you guys are watching us for the first time, I swear, go and watch our other videos, man. We're not with the technical issues and the off flow. Like, we're trying to really get our production game up now as we're heading into redraft season, man. Really get us going here. But yeah, man, I swear we're better than this. Just keep sticking with us. We got some good content for you, so make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe and like button for us, man. But for Wilson here, he went with that double hero RB build, decent QB, but could have waited, even further for that tight end. I do like that Chase Burrow stack. I think it was good value there. I would have probably preferred Worthy over a couple of those running backs, over Ingram. That kind of went in that same range. And it would have led to some better wide receiver depth on that team for me. His bench is just kind of blah, and that honestly Wilson's team, and I could be critical of Wilson. He's our boy. He's been here for a long time, ambassador extraordinaire, and he's drafted to some great teams that we have no problem giving him A's and A pluses for. This one, I have to criticize him just a smidge. It's all love. But he's actually what kind of sparked the question that I asked you earlier while we're getting the draft board up. What are some of your favorite picks in those rounds 8 through 9, 10? 8 through 12 or 8 through 13? Because I think that's where Wilson lost it here. I think he started off great, and then just kind of after you got that tight end and running back and got those 3 wide receivers, didn't quite know where to go, or just felt like he was in a bad spot. Maybe didn't feel like he should reach versus guys at ADP. But there's just several guys. Again, we talked about Javonte, so I'm not going to beat that horse. Taking somebody like, to me, Romeo Doubs or Jameson Williams over someone like Jacoby Myers. You're talking about the guy opposite of the guy who has like the most target share, over 30% and over 180, targets last year in a terrible offense that isn't expected to score a ton of touchdowns and to primarily kind of run the ball. Like, what type of, situation is Myers going to really be in for a 9th round pick? So again, I'd rather go with Dobbs, who's part of a higher power offense. Same thing with Jameson Williams. Yeah, they may not be the number 2 in their offenses, but any week they could pop off and kind of win you a week, and that's what you're looking for that bench or that flex spot, bye week filler. You're just hoping that buys in. Same thing with again, I mentioned all those guys: Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet, that I would take in over Rashid Shaheed. Again, I would take my chances with somebody like Tyler Lockett over Mike Williams, who hasn't been healthy in like 3 years, versus a guy who's done nothing but produce the last 3 years. Yeah, he's getting a little older, but he's never been hurt. Doesn't take big hits. Doesn't put himself in that situation. Or even someone like Josh Palmer, who went, 4 picks later than Mike Williams, who is essentially the de facto number one of target of Justin Herbert.
The only guy that's still on the team from last year.
Right. So with chemistry, right? So
Yeah.
again, just several things here in that those rounds A through.
Man. I was trying
I just think it's an important teaching moment for people, and that's why we're here. We're here to break this thing down. This team provides that perfect example of, you hit your first picks, and this is what happens with guys who maybe do a lot of mocks, but they leave early after they kind of get their starters, but don't finish mocking the rest of the guys to know who's available and who you like in those later rounds to see who falls
like Shimi,
or who you need to reach on.
Like lost and just went 5 running backs in a row, and I was like, come on, there's a guy, other guys. You should have just go ahead and reach for a different guy that would have been better anyways.
Right. After a certain spot, you just have to, limit yourself to position and all that kind of stuff. So when it comes down to it, I think that was just a good teaching moment for there. Again, maybe he was trying something or seeing different things. Maybe he was seeing where some of the guys that he normally would draft were falling if he were to pass on them to see if he could wait another round. So again, those are things you have to keep in mind as well too when you're doing mocks. You can't just always reach for your guy. Sometimes let him just go to see where he's, could you have waited one more round and potentially pick him up and he falls to you and get even better value out of somebody you're high on.
Wait.
Exactly. Or guys, that once you pass them in that certain spot, they're not coming back. So again, spent a lot of time on this team. Even with all that said, man, I still gave it a B- because it is a top, a top heavy team. I do like it. I like the build. And again, you can argue that these guys will just kind of be, again, no lotto tickets or anything like that, but Chuba should probably be the starter, week 1 as his RB4. Just say Javonte Williams does make the team and is back to the Javonte Williams of a couple years ago. Again, you can tell the stories, but yeah, for the most part, it did stay out of that, probably in that more like C+ B- range now that I really talk it out. So sorry, I talked you down a little bit of a grade
No, that's
there.
all right. I still like my grade. I wasn't breaking down his players as terribly, more of a structure of what he had and how he chose the guys. I
think it's the type of guy, right?
Yeah, the
not necessarily the guy, but the type of guy.
Yeah.
In those situations.
I was just looking at the position more than poor Jacoby Myers or Mike Williams, because you're right, I wouldn't have drafted those guys anyways.
Right. So
about to get
there we go. All right. Enough on you, Wilson. We spent enough time on you, but we appreciate what you do for us, man. That's why I don't mind giving that feedback to you for everything you put in here. Get Right Fantasy, man. Appreciate you. All right. So Janky, please here. He starts off with we're just kind of off now. Because didn't you read?
No, it's your turn. Go ahead.
All right, and then I'm going to throw to you, and then I'll go. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm on Ross St. Brown at the 105 over Bijan and Justin Jefferson. I like it. Isaiah Pacheco, Mike Evans, James Conner for the first 4 picks. Wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, followed by wide receivers 3 and 4 in Christian Kirk and Terry McLaurin. Grabs his tight end and Jake Ferguson, quarterback and Jordan Love. Here in the 9th, or in the, what is that, 8th?
8th.
Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, 9-10, followed by 2 wide receivers and Tyler Lockett and Xavier Legette, and 11 and 12. QB2 and Brock Purdy here in the 13th, and takes a flyer for his Mr. Irrelevant with Gabe Davis down here in the 14th. So, Frank, what grade and breakdown feedback do you have for Janky?
I love this team. There's another team that I thought he would win. I gave him an A. I'll say right off the bat. I just like the structure that he had. I think it's well balanced. I like where the players he was getting. Like you mentioned, he took Amon-Ra over Bijan or Justin Jefferson. Go for your guy. If you're confident in him, I don't mind the Sun God. He's really good. Isaiah Pacheco, Mike Evans, James Conner, take him to good spots. Christian Kirk and Scary Terry. It just fell to him. It looked like he was just taking like the spots that were just feeding into him as Jake Ferguson and then Jordan Love there. I think that's a sweet spot to take him at. That's a really good QB with high upside this year, high-powered offense there with what they got going on, and you're getting them there late in the 8th. Rounds out his running backs in Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler. Let's hope they do okay, but I mean he's got his good starters there, and that's why they're backups. Tyler Lockett, we just mentioned, another very productive wide receiver year in year out. Rookie and Xavier Legette here. Brock Purdy really late. I thought that was a really good pick as well as a backup QB. And then, like I said, the flyer on Gabe Davis, I would have liked to see, maybe a rookie or something else in there. But, I mean, at that point, like, it's easy to drop him and move on and get somebody else anyways if you need that room. I give him an A, man. I like this team.
Nice.
I like the
Jinky
players that
pulled
he
out
got
the
on. I
A from
like where he
Frank.
pulled
That
them at.
doesn't happen. First
Yeah,
time drafting with us gets an A.
telling you.
That's nice. That's nice. All right. So for Mr. Jinky, I came in, man, with a B minus, maybe B. We'll see where I land after I kind of give the feedback here and hear me say it out loud instead of in my head. So to me, went with a modified double hero RB build. Late and good value in love, like you mentioned. But in my opinion, I think he could have even waited and still got someone like Goff to get that stack with the Sun God. And even if Team One ended up grabbing Love instead of Caleb, all the other teams had a quarterback right there. So I think this is another kind of teaching moment for when you're drafting. Pay attention to the other players' teams. If you look where he took Love, every other person had already invested a higher pick in a quarterback except for Team One there coming around the turn.
Except for Rafi.
So
Rafi didn't have a QB.
no, I'm saying look at the way the arrows are going.
Well,
So,
I know.
So he could have got back to that other pick.
Came back to him.
Yeah. So chances are no quarterback would have gone unless Team One went Caleb or went Love. Then if he goes Love, he still gets Goff to stack with Amon Ra. So I just think you kind of wasted a pick there, so to speak. Like right there, you can take a running back or a wide receiver instead of having to go get Jordan Love there. So just again, these are those.
I get your stack, but I like Love over Goff, even with the stack situation.
To each their own. This is why it's my take.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just for just strictly value purposes and drafting, you're trying to, get as much value and positional advantage as you can. I don't think there's that much of a drop off between someone like Jordan Love and Jared Goff. Like Jordan Love isn't rushing quarterback from what people may think. He's not. He's a pocket passer.
Nope.
Jared Goff is playing in a dome 13 out of the first 14 games. And we all know how, and no primetime games, I don't think. Oh no, that's Kirk Cousins. But for me, like that's just a much better setup. Like I'd rather take that risk and still either get Love, the one you wanted, number one, or just settle for Goff, but have that better, wide receiver or running back in that earlier round. So again, just we're here, just giving you that little feedback here.
I like where you're going with that.
Just pure draft strategy. That's all it's all about. Play that ADP game. And then again, take a chance on someone like Brian Thomas Jr. Or Benson there with that hindsight, right? So his RB depth is questionable. Old banged up running backs. We'll see what happens. But a solid wide receiver room. I'm personally not a fan of Scary Terry, but I understand the pick. Again, as wide receiver 4, not too bad. And then again has that lotto ticket at least in Leggett. So I just think it was a pretty well put together team, even with those little minute details. So again, came in as a B minus, leaning more towards a B, a solid B on that one. So well done, Jinky.
Nice. I think you're reading off the next one though, right? Where do I go? I read off Classic. Are we reading off Classic?
No, we're not going to Classic. Let's go to Vince. I think we talked about Classic's team on Friday.
Vince is in here.
Yeah. Vince is here. What's up, Vince?
You said you guys are doing fine. Great flow. Tyler Lockett has never been taking a hit. Dude will be a fantasy relevant when he's 50.
Vince knows what's up.
He knows. He agrees. There's no breaks a lot. He's no respect for the guard dog. What's that? What's the Mushamania Minshew for the Ginsu for the car, aka Farvo isn't starting. And the Fort Myers can do well against the secondary. That's true.
So he didn't like my Myers take there.
Yeah, no, he didn't like that. Especially if Adams is always getting the first look like last year, and he was. I mean, they're trying to get him the ball as much as possible.
For sure.
All right, so
let's get into Vince's
here we go.
team.
Check it out. Vince goes with Justin Jefferson as his WR1, Devontae Adams. He takes 2 wide receivers, and he comes back with Josh Jacobs. Picks up George Pickens, who I like, and then Alvin Kamara here in the 5th. He gets Kyle Pitts, taking the tight end up there. I don't know. Kyle Pitts is the one that's like, this is his year. This is his year. If this guy doesn't do it this year, he's going on untouchable. Like I would not ever draft this guy. So he definitely needs to make it this year.
Put up or shut up. Season.
Yeah, or else just don't. You know what I mean? Like how many times is it going to be? Oh, this is the situation. This is the best thing. You know how many times he's going to get that opportunity. But anyways, I digress. Rashi Rice taking a shot on the guy that's over here on a suspension at some point.
Potential, allegedly.
Potential and alleged. We got Jonathan Brooks, Romeo Dobbs here. That's a good spot here in the 9th. Brian Robinson, another guy that Anthony mentioned. That's a good guy to take in those later rounds here. In the 10th, so looking pretty good right there. Johan Dotson. Anthony was really high on him in a couple of years past,
Last year.
he just did not work out. But we got Wando Robinson here as well.
Comeback season.
Then he ends up with his 2 QBs at the end in Jaden Daniels and Matthew Stafford. And that's where I wasn't so sure. I was like,
you give your take after me. I'm going to stop you this time instead of letting you go.
Okay.
So
yeah, there you go.
You think of your take, and then we'll go from there. All right. So Vince Mapstone, what's up, man? I call this build the 2 pass catchers and 1 running back build. So basically, for every 2 pass catchers, he drafted a running back. If you kind of look at it all the way down, in kind of certain sections. So I just think that's just shows kind of the balance. And again, alternating between those pass catchers and running backs to have a balanced team. Obviously goes 0 quarterback here, but still ended up with Daniels, who's a poor man's Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, your basic rushing upside quarterback, your Anthony Richardson, if you will, and then still gets someone like Stafford, who's like the poor man's Patrick Mahomes, just in the rounds 13 and 14. And he still gets that Daniels, Dotson, and Brian Robinson stack, if you will. Again, not real big on stacking a team like Washington per se. Let alone having all 3. Much prefer tight end, wide receiver, quarterback versus that running back stack. But still, again, given what was available, still not bad. I literally every single pick on here, like you mentioned, including even Jahan Dotson, who I was big on last year, not so much this year, but every one of these individual picks, I mean, I've literally drafted myself and liked them, except for Wandale Robinson. But every other pick, like I can argue for it. Again, not that high on Adams, but getting him in the mid-second as your wide receiver 2 isn't bad either. Upside shot on Pickens as your wide receiver 3. Again, half
really
PPR,
like
so you're kind of relying more on that touchdown upside, which is just great. You can't really argue that value versus the potential here in redraft with these guys. Again, and on top of all that, he was drafting right in between me and Classic Mike. So talk about a tough spot, to be in. Not saying we're anybody's, but still, being right in between the 2 hosts of the show on Friday. I think he did an excellent job. I give the team an A minus. Just upside and value all the way through. Just a well thought out, put together team. He was sniping me left and right. Caused me to have my early Dak Prescott pick here, or no, that was actually JWN, which we'll get in here in a second. But yeah, sniped me several times forward and backwards. So it was a good time Friday. And well done, Vince. Well done.
Nice.
Where'd you come in at?
I'm right there with you. The knock to me is just the late QB. It's just way too late. I think that
some people
Wando Robinson
don't like
pick,
that. Yeah.
I would have just took Brock Purdy there. And I think
makes sense.
This team would have just been killing it at that point. You know what I mean? You'd take Brock Purdy that late. These guys did finish in the top 10 last year or whatever, and you get him that late. I don't mind the Jaden Daniels or Matthew
He was
Stafford.
QB 6. Purdy was, just FYI.
Last year?
Don't shortchange him.
Yeah, well, there you go. Whatever.
QB
Top
6.
10. I said top 10. So getting him that late, he could have just, that's the one pick he messed up on, I think. You know what I mean? Like at some point you got to just actually take a QB. You know what I mean? And they're going to score some points for you,
Yeah.
So
See, not according to our boy Ethan, though. Remember his article on the website. Stop drafting your QBs early, right? Shout out to Ethan.
Yeah.
Go check it out. GetRightFF.com. But yeah, so where'd you come in at grade-wise on this one?
And he said, wasn't that Dak pick an auto pick, or am I hallucinating?
No, it was my. Oh, see, he's in there. Shout out. See, I don't even have the chats up, and there he is.
I know. I got you.
Like
you. That's because I
clockwork,
know
yeah.
you meant it, Ethan. So I was like,
Yeah, there you go. No, it wasn't a Dak pick. It was my. It was a panic pick because I got sniped for Ken Walker right there. I wanted Ken Walker to go with Brees Hall. I thought I was getting him for sure. JWN already had 2 running backs, and it was a 3 wide receiver league. I thought, no way he skips on
for a wide receiver.
that he grabs a 3rd running back. and 3 out of his first 6 picks to be running backs. And sure enough, he did. So totally panicked. 30-second clock. Accidentally went with Dak Prescott, clicking around the screen, and went completely against your article there, Ethan. So my
Sorry
bad.
about that.
Stop looking at my team.
But good
I'm not here
article,
to talk
Ethan. Check
about
out the
my team.
website,
Yeah.
getrightff.com. Ethan's got a nice article on there about, not drafting a QB too early, but I think this guy just waited a little too late, Vince. Even that one pick could have been the difference for your team. I think it was a B. Again, like Anthony just mentioned, you could have brought Brock Purdy in the 12th, who's number 6 last year, and your team would have been rocking. Just, again, we were just like construction criticism just to make it even better.
For sure.
I think we're going to
We're here
skip
for it.
Anthony, right? We're going to skip you
Yes,
here.
sir. Yeah, let's
Although-
get out of that train
although I
wreck
did
of a
grade
team
you.
that I drafted.
Yeah. You don't like that?
Although there was actually, I do like it all except for that. Even with the Dak pick, I still
I
kinda
like the
it.
hero RB build that you had.
Oh yeah, it
It
was
was pretty
good up until
solid.
that pick. But
3
yeah,
wide receivers, a tight end, and a quarterback. I mean, you did the classic how you're supposed to do it. You get the onesie picks right there, and Mark Andrews and Dak Prescott come back around with more wide receivers. Still end up with Zach Moss in the 9th, he could be a possible. He's the number 1 starting here. And even J.K. Dobbins over there in the Chargers. I think he did
and then
well.
no
They gave
other
you an
running
A.
backs looked good to me, so I just said screw it and just went with
I
3
gave you
and
an A.
play the
I
waiver
thought it was
wire
good.
game.
Wasn't
See,
it
there we
fun?
go. Hey, just imagine though if I would have had Ken Walker instead of Dak and took like a later quarterback down here, or like if CJ Stroud would have fell to me there to pair with Tank. Ooh, that would have been
That would have
lovely.
be cool. I mean,
Anyway,
but I don't think
we'll move
you
on.
did bad
We
though. I think it
digress.
was just like you did the build how it's supposed to be done. You know what I mean? Like getting hero
Tried
RB
to.
build, boom. Just got 5 guys before he even took it. 6 guys, and then what your second wide receiver in the night?
I had
Running
5
back
wide
in the 9th?
receivers before I took my RB2.
Yeah,
It's usually
exactly.
how
So I
it
mean, like, geez, that's to the textbook there. So now we're moving on to JWN. You get to read this one.
Appreciate that. All right. So JWN, since he sniped me, pissed me off. Well done. Like keeping me on my toes. AJ Brown, nice pick, round 1. Marvin Harrison Jr. round 2. Goes James Cook and Joe Mixon, rounds 3 and 4. Grabs his elite quarterback here in Jalen Hurts in round 5. Good spot there. Comes up with that RB3 out of nowhere and snipes me here in the 6th for Ken Walker. Then grabs as his wide receiver 3 Jordan Addison. And this is post arrest. So Addison
he
going
knew
here
about
still
that.
in the
Yeah.
7th, and he knew.
I
Calvin
wouldn't do
Ridley, Jamison Williams to round out the 9th. Then he goes to tight end 1 and Dallas Goedert to get that stack with Hurts, but very well done. Grabs Chase Brown here, who I like even more so than Zach Moss, which was kind of funny because when I came back around in the 11th and I saw Brown there, I was pissed that I took Moss 2 rounds earlier. Then Rico Dowdle here in the 12th. Nice little pick there as running back 5. Cole Kmet round 13, and then Lotto Ticket and Malachi Corley here in the 14th. So, Frank, where did you have John's team?
Well, before I go back over there, because Epstein did reply, it says, yeah, not taking Purdy at 12-6 is too late. And
he
you
agrees.
did mention, once you hit the round 10, I think you need to address QB, especially if one as good as Purdy is still around. Getting QB 6 or 8 in the 10th round is great value. So he agrees with me. You could have just in that Wandale Robinson pick. So, hey, we're all learning. This is why we're mocking.
This is why
Let's
we
get
mock.
it done, right? So, yeah, JWN back over here to you. Good balance. The Addison pick, it's just too high for me. He's not that guy that
with
you
what
need
we know or don't know now.
Yeah, exactly. Just what we don't know. He's just not that guy to be getting in the 7th. You can get him in the 9th, 10th, or 11th, as far as I'm concerned, and then you feel comfortable taking a shot at him on there. Also, I just thought he was kind of just weak on the tight ends, kind of late. I know that you don't mind him like that. I that's not my deal.
So take a penny, leave a penny.
Yeah, exactly. I like how he started though. AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison, then he takes the James Cook and Joe Mixon, and then Jalen Hurts, a running back, the running wide QB. So, I just don't like the Addison pick. I think it just kind of throws me off from there on. But pretty good, decent team overall. I gave him a B.
There you go. All right, so Mr. John here. I came in with BB plus. So we're kind of in the same position there. To me, I've kind of mentioned it before, but I like having 3 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds, especially in a 3 wide receiver league. Even more so in PPR, but this is half PPR, but still point per reception. So I'm still wanting to most likely get 3 in the first 4.
Yeah.
And to me, this build shows why. I think I like this team a lot more if the Mixon pick. I'm not even mad about the Ken Walker pick. I'm actually going to pick on the Mixon pick. Again, I'm more hero RB at heart. So I always kind of look at it through those lenses. If you swap Mixon for a wide receiver of your choice, kind of in that round, or that goes
Dell
later,
or Pickens.
just me, I'd still prefer in a half PPR to flex a wide receiver in that flex spot over a running back, unless he's like a high volume running back, which in this case could be a potential. But since Ken Walker doesn't really catch passes, you don't really want that kind of guy in your flex spot in a half PPR, unless he's on one of those like Christian McCaffrey heaters where he scored in like 16 straight games. Unless you can guarantee me a touchdown, I'd rather put a wide receiver in that spot for those extra PPR points. And then I would prefer any one of those round 4 wide receivers versus like Addison, Ridley in the 7th and 8th rounds. And then, I talked about forcing him having to flex Walker already. Just good depth behind that. Nice lot of tickets with Jameson Williams and Corley. Somebody else has to catch passes in New York besides Garrett Wilson, right? So either Conklin or Corley, like there's literally no one else over there. So Corley, not a bad pick there in the 14th, just as a late lotto ticket if he doesn't do anything, easy cut for a waiver wire ad.
And then you're doing just fine with that guy.
Exactly. And then, of course, elite Russian QB with tight end or QB1 overall upside. His tight ends are blah, like you said, but we'll just stream tight end and see what happens there. So, BB plus on this one. So,
I do agree with you. The Chase Brown pick late like that, he does have very high upside potential over there in Cincinnati. I think they'll just go 1-2 with Zach Moss and Chase Brown at the end of the day. They're gonna, probably just, running back by committee over there, just like everybody else.
I'm just a sucker for value. So if you're telling me something's going to basically be 50-50, like 45-55, give me the guy that I could get 2 rounds later. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if that's all you're risking.
No, that's why I was like, bring it up.
And he's the pass catcher, so I'd much rather have that guy.
Up last year too. He was doing really well. So
so there we go.
Agree with that, but again, another guy that you could grab late, and like he did Rico Dowdle as well, 11th and 12th round guys that I think you got really good value with. Zeke may not be what he used to be. He's getting older in the tooth. I know that he just went to New England and just got the kind of goal line touches and things like that. He did kind of a resurgence over there, but I'm not so sure that he's going to be able to come back in Dallas and do the same thing again. It's just
he's going to lose his Dowdle and Zeke are going to lose their job to either Khalil Herbert or Javonte Williams, whoever gets cut. Out of those 2 guys.
Exactly.
They're going to Dallas. And then we'll see where they fly up on draft board.
Whoever's on the knocking on the door. Once
the season starts, first like semi-good running back to get cut in preseason is going to be a Cowboy. So
I'm surprised they didn't take
such a Jerry thing to do.
What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. He used to be such a good fill-in a running back. They said he's trying to come back this year. Help me out.
Oh, Tyreek Cohen?
No. I'll come back to him.
All right,
anyways,
we'll come back. We digress. All right, we got 3 more teams. You're reading off the team. We have
what did I give him
1 minute to get through
I just gave him a B.
3 teams.
I just gave him a B on that. So we're going to go with Rafi Bomb next, right? Rafi's in the house, I think, even. Here
3 minutes. Point. He was.
He ends up going with the running back JT, Travis Etienne, Sam Laporta here. So he's, his first pass catcher is Sam Laporta in the 3rd. And he gets Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Lad McConkey, Hollywood Brown, a guy I really like in Curtis Samuel there late in the 8th. He ends up getting Jared Goff as well here as his QB1 in the 9th. Picks up Zeke, as we were just talking about, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Wilson. Then he rounds it out with 2 more running backs in Tyler Algier and Elijah Mitchell, which I really like late, especially that last pick right there, because if anything should happen to McCaffrey.
He's literally handcuffing the top 2 running backs off the board.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Late like that. Not a bad idea.
That's lightweight. Well done, Rafi.
Yeah.
And you
yeah,
shouldn't have
for
busted
sure.
that out on a live stream because now everyone's going to be looking for it.
Yeah, no, I've been keeping an eye on I already drafted Elijah Mitchell in my Scott Fishbowl one.
Nice.
I was
Don't
like,
put that juju out there though. I'm not. That's why I won't even take him.
I don't mind. Shoot.
I won't even take him. I won't even take Elijah Mitchell because of that. Not putting that in the
It's out there. It's
not putting that in the universe. All right. So Rafi here, man.
I just thought it was a late spot. So
I go. You read, I go. Then you give yours.
I was gonna hand it off to you.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Anyways, go ahead. Now we did all that. Go ahead. Hand it off.
All right. So Rafi, man, I came in here with the BB minus. Even with all that said, I said, of course, Rafi has to go 0 wide receiver, in a half point PPR 3 wide receiver league. Only he would try something like that and pull it off pretty nicely. Gets that nice late QB like we were just talking about with Ethan and Jared Goff, with a good value. And Laporta gets that stack, top, one of the top 2-3 offenses that they're expecting this year. So definitely a nice stack that we like. Again, we talked about how many games in a dome that they're playing this year and all that good stuff. So just nothing but upside there. Laporta is basically one of his top 3 pass catchers or wide receivers. If you look at that, he's basically the wide receiver 1 on this team. So that means that wide receiver 3, or 4 technically is kind of just like a flex or even tight end spot. So you feel like you have an advantage there when you draft a high tight end, whether it be any of the kind of top 4 guys that we're talking about, or maybe like top 2 and then another tier 2 and then 1, however you want to break that up. Yeah, so I just think if 2 of either Ladd, Hollywood, Judy are decent, like top 30, top 36 in any given week, and if Kupp and Godwin are at least minimally like wide receivers 2 each week with an occasional wide receiver 1, weekly upside here and there, I think this type of build could work. Really has no running back depth with just basically handcuffs, hoping for an injury there. It's a very, very risky way to play, but it kind of fits Rafi's whole persona here. He's basically, if he's not first, he's last. I think this is one of those kind of builds. Definitely plays with the kind of risk that I would want to play with. If you are going to, feel like drafting those 2, running backs early, this is kind of what you have to do. I just like that he took those 2 top running backs and he didn't go take like a running back 3 kind of in those rounds 3 through 7. He really waited for that running back 3 because you invested so much in those top 2. You just need to start taking dart throws at upside guys, which he did there in those next 5 wide receivers, and then still got a nice quarterback, and then still didn't go 5 running backs straight like Shimi did here in the 2 spot, broke those up again into 3 and 2. Which I like to do late in drafts there. So I think he executed it well. 7 wide receivers, 5 running backs, your 1 quarterback, and 1 tight end. So well done.
Yeah. So
where'd you come in at?
Interject there with Mr. Bracelot. The Raging Cajun is fragile as well. I'd handcuff Guerrero and Mason just in case if I was in Dynasty with McCaffrey.
Yeah.
He's agreeing with this as well. So, you got to get in those, especially did him late like that. That's a nice spot. I just want to throw that in there.
Well, because Elijah Mitchell didn't even play last year, and he missed more games than McCaffrey. McCaffrey had the most touches in the league. That dude come back to practice and get hurt, never even really made it in the game. It was actually Jordan Mason, who was taking a lot of the cleanup work when the games were finally out of hand. That Shanahan wasn't just using CMC nonsensely, and then nonsensically, and then. I mean, I understand the one where he's trying to get him to keep the touchdown streak. That's a little different, I guess, but still not worth potentially ruining a Super Bowl chance. But hey, to each their own. We got lucky there. But yeah, there were several other times when we were up by 3 touchdowns, and it seemed and we're still running McCaffrey up the middle. What are we doing? Yeah. Grindo could be a late sneaky pick there.
Yeah. So I like him. I like him where he's at. FC's coming up with I like Goff would be there. In the 11th pick, he's this is what I'm getting at. So he's thinking he could wait on Goff even a little further as well, and maybe take some other guys in that spot. So we were mentioning that about Brock Purdy going all the way here in the 13th in this round. He could have went in the 12th, and he could have got him 2 rounds later as well. So to your point, Ethan, you could wait a little longer on some of these guys and still end up with a pretty decent wide receivers there. I'm with you, Anthony. Though I gave him a B. Kind of went over seemed like breaking down some of the players that he's got, and Curtis Samuel and Hollywood Brown, I think are good upside guys. Lamb McConkey as well over there should be the de facto, I think, number one over Palmer. But although he's a rookie, let's see how that works out first. But I do like all the picks of how he did it. If he did like the opposite build, it's literally the opposite build is what you should be drafting for a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex type thing. But I think he did a pretty good job of pulling it off. But at the end of the day, you got to see how those guys pan out, because it is a lot of hopefuls aside from the wide receivers and the running backs and the tight end up top, right?
Yeah, and I was kind of seeing what Ethan said there. I realized I could get the chats in a different spot. But yeah, he was saying that was message 3 that you brought up of a 1/3 of a rant that he was going on about Rafi's team there. But basically, and it's all good. But in summary, he just kind of said you probably could have waited, like you said. No, it's all good. We got to get through it. We're already past the hour mark, so they got it there in the chat. We got the live chat replay if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, you basically said it already. I mean, you just
Rafi's saying I was scared someone would start taking QBs. LOL. I was going to take Murray, but he got took.
Yeah. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
Right, to stack with Harrison. So he kind of had some options.
It's crazy that Murray was that late, right before you too.
Yeah, he got sniped. Yeah, right at the Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel's not a bad pick though. Just to drop off on that. I like it though. Overall.
Yeah. So well done.
Like you're saying, Anthony's saying, hey, let's get the balls.
We got 2 more teams.
I'm gonna read off the next one here. And,
I think it's reading. I think I'm reading it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah.
You're right. I read Rocky.
Yeah, it's all good. Shia LaBeouf, we'll get it down, man. We'll get it down. We got you guys next Monday. So we got Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua coming off 1 and 2 at the 11th spot, followed by Travis Kelce and then Devonta Smith. Then he gets a stack with Patrick Mahomes here in the 5th, followed by 2 running backs and Ramondre Stevenson and Raheem Mostert. Grabs his QB2 here in round 8 and Kyler Murray. Like Rafi said, didn't think he was going to get sniped with Murray there, but ended up taking that early quarterback. Followed by 2 more running backs, 3 and 4 in Singletary and Corum. Gets his tight end 2 in Pat Fairmouth, and then finally grabs some more wide receivers down here late, and Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Polk, and Jermaine Burton. So what did you give Shia LaBeouf's team here?
So Shia LaBeouf, I like the stack that he got with KC there with Travis Kelce and Mahomes there. Let's see. I like the nice rookies that he took late there as well, and Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Polk, and Jermaine Burton. Those are good hopefuls. The team construction, he did, stuck to his guns and ends up with 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a QB at top. I think that he got a little overzealous in taking Kyler Murray there. He could have waited on that second QB and probably helped himself out with another, wide receiver there or something. Singletary, I mean, he is starting over there at the Giants. I'm not sure if he's going to hold that job down. And Blake Corum, I do like that pick. Fairmouth for being the second tight end. That's a decent spot. Overall, I like the team. I gave him a B+ on it.
Yeah, I mean, I had this team kind of like as an A, and then as I looked at it, man, I just couldn't get over the fact that he grabbed those 3 top wide receivers and then just didn't get any depth behind it. So if any of those guys miss time, his replacement value on this team just takes a downfall. Granted, he has Kelce and he has Mahomes, but even still, if one of those guys goes down, like it's kind of hurts the team, and there's not enough replacement value there. I originally kind of had on my first glance
replace Mahomes with Kyler Murray.
I'm going to give my whole take, and then it'll all kind of come together here. So, kind of, what was I saying now? So you got me all messed up. I was trying to set myself up perfectly for that. So basically, he went with that 0 RB build and almost executed it perfectly. Like I said, with that Mahomes Kelce stack, 3 top wide receivers, and then, like you said, he just did not need Kyler Murray. He needed a wide receiver there in that spot. To me, if he gets that wide receiver there instead of Kyler Murray, and maybe he can trade Kyler Murray for a higher tier wide receiver later and still get this going. So that's why I kind of initially still had it as an A. His running backs are shaky, but that's what happens with 0 RB. But even with that said, he ends up getting a low-end workhorse, and then the the RB2 overall from last year, and it's still in a high-powered offense that doesn't really have that many career touches, although he's been, around the sun a few times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of my only thing. So I mean, it could have been worse, all things considered. But I mean, besides that Kyler pick, I mean, I just think it was a zero. RB executed perfectly. Again, zero RB means you're not grabbing your first running back until round 6 or later, while still getting those elite onesie positions, and you can't really get that much more elite than Travis Kelce Mahomes combo stack at those onesie positions, still with 3 top nice wide receivers that are all in fairly good either situations or offenses attached to pretty good quarterbacks, either Hall of Famers or guys potentially on their way. I mean, it's just a great start. And just, in that Singletary, Murray, Corum, Fairmouth range, or even at Fairmouth, take another wide receiver there. But again, that still doesn't really do it for me. Getting that wide receiver in that Kyler Murray range, like again, Samuel or Coleman, taking your chance on whoever you think is going to be the wide receiver attached to Allen, Christian Watson, who you and I both loved in this spot. So yeah, if I'm there in the 8th, I'm grabbing Watson for the most part over any of these guys here in the 8th. So just to me, his team could have felt that much better had he not went with that second quarterback, and I'm sure that Ethan probably has a lot to say about that as well too. So I think he's saying he's about to head out. Yeah. So where did you come in on this one? Or did you came in already on this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so we're on
B
Brokow
plus on him.
Okay.
B plus. You were off on the high.
I officially came in as a B minus. So
B-.
I had it as an AAA, but then just B minus.
Yeah, I couldn't do the A also because of I do like the late right receivers, but also they're all rookies. You know what I mean?
They're not flexible in week 1.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's how I look
if
at
some of these guys go down, you got no option. Period.
Yeah, and I'm not feeling comfortable flexing Singletary or Corum week 1 either.
Yeah. Ricky Pilsaw, I think, has a better shot than some of these other guys. If they move Brandon Ayuk, that guy will move up a lot. Right?
I think Burton actually is the guy who might have some weekly 1 flex appeal. Like that's probably who I'm starting week 1 in the flex.
Diggs
I mean, he's taking that Tyler Boyd role. Tyler Boyd's gone. Boyd's put up points. And who knows if Higgins makes it through week 1.
You're right. He did.
I mean, as a slot guy, so we'll see. Anyway, let's finish up here, man. We're well past an hour. Yeah, let's get out of here with Brokow over here in the 10 spot. So you're reading it off. Go ahead.
Brokow here finishes off the draft here with Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley of this double RB, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, and Keenan Allen. Gets his 3 wide receivers. Then he picks up his first QB and CJ Stroud, and then David Njoku. It's a classic build right there. I mean, like literally to the T. Comes back with Jackson Smith Njigba. Picks up another 2 running backs in Jalen Warren and Gus Edwards. Pretty good value there. And then he finishes off his whole draft with just Brandon Cooks, Demario Douglas, Marvin Mims, and Jacob Cowing. I'm not even sure who that Jacob Cowing is, so maybe he knows something I don't know.
He's our other wide receiver we drafted with Ricky Pearsall this year.
That's a for
just
sure
in case
lottery
they got rid
pick.
of Debo and Ayuk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a for sure lottery pick.
We're grooming him.
Yeah. I'm not gonna give my take. It's your turn.
Oh, hey, look at you. All right, so for Mr. Brokow here, man, I said he went with the classic double anchor RB build out of the 12 spot. Just bang out those 2 running backs, get that out of the way. Then comes back and hammers those 3 wide receivers and builds out his onesie positions, like you said, almost textbook with that tight end and that quarterback there, and Stroud and Njoku. Then he does the right thing there, like a couple other people didn't, and grab that wide receiver for the flex and JSN, who I find myself drafting a lot kind of near around this area as well. I like him as wide receiver 4-5 in my builds. Then he grabs, Jalen Warren, Gus Edwards. I think probably could have even waited still just a smidge on these running backs, but really after that, no one's kind of left, so I could understand why he did that
with the Chase Brown and Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, I'm just, it's just tough if you don't take kind of running backs there. You're already kind of behind. And then, I like that he did kind of just take some, dart throws here with a mix of like a veteran like an older veteran, a newer veteran that has some, potential promise here. Not go crazy, but just a nice depth piece, and then some potential breakout candidates here, and then just a dart throw here and Cowing really at the end. But overall, I mean, just because of what it is, being in the 12 spot, I just think you're behind, man. When you're in the 12 spot, it's just hard to gain any type of advantage because you're typically picking at the end of tiers, or you're at the start of a new tier, but it's still under the tier that everyone has picked from you already. So you kind of really need to do something bold, whether it's getting really unique early somehow with like a super early tight end or a quarterback, just to try to gain some type of positional advantage and not miss out too bad on those other positions, and maybe force the issue a little bit. But kind of coming running back, and then grabbing 3 wide receivers when other guys have already grabbed 3 wide receivers. It makes it kind of tough. Again, you're playing at the end of tiers. So for what it was, like, I wanted to give it an A+ because I just think he did a stand-up job and put together a pretty decent team here from the 12 spot. But in all reality, when you look at the bigger picture, I'd have come in at a B- just because it's hard to compete with the builds that he has. Like, even as someone who took 2 top running backs, I mean, would you rather have Gibbs or Barkley, or would you rather have Taylor Etienne or Bijan and Kyron Williams, or even CMC and Henry for that matter in a half PPR? He's not even the best double running back. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even have that advantage. He's definitely behind it at wide receiver. He's behind at tight end, even though he kind of took it in the spot you're supposed to take it, but still, it's only the tight end 8 or 7 off the board. And CJ Stroud still isn't one of those top elite, rushing upside type quarterbacks that has the potential to, finish QB1 overall. I think he's top 10, but he's not top 3, top 5, at least yet. We haven't seen it from the rushing aspect. So again, with all that said, I came in at a B-, even though my heart wants to give him an A+.
And Jawan Jennings here, Mr. Based a lot here, says Jawan Jennings should be there instead of Cowing in his opinion there.
I'm just not drafting like the wide receiver 4 on the Niners.
Yeah.
There's way too many. I mean, unless injuries start happening, but I'm not drafting them. Like, have them on your watch list and maybe beat the waiver wire with them, or if you see something start to happen, then you can go get them with some fab or use a waiver priority spot. But yeah,
that's some deep thinking right there.
Jennings isn't anything.
I just think that these builds just don't lend to the 3 wide receiver 1 flex start. You know what I mean? And like you mentioned, he's not even, he's got the double anchor RB here. He's not even the best one of it. I think the Rafi Bond that did a little bit better at it himself, who's only 2 spots over from him. So you're right. You do have to have a different type of builder, or, reach for a guy to have something uniqueness on your team to change and stand out, and like work on changing the tiers that you're picking from, because you are going to get the last end of those tiers, and it makes it hard to pass up on those guys and go for lower guys or reach for somebody else, because at that point now you feel like you've gone even further down with passing up on good players anyways. And that's just the position that you're in. The guys that I did like, Jackson Smith-Njigba, where he took him at, Jalen Warren, again, the other half of that whole situation there. The lottery pick in Marvin Mims and Demario Douglas. Let's see how they do. But it's just a B team. It's just not. You don't feel it. It doesn't feel flashy. It doesn't feel like he could get somewhere. He just continued with the build. I think he could have just switched it up from the CJ Stroud and David Njoku section and just waited on that QB and waited on that tight end, or even just got the tight end earlier and then went late QB. I think that would have fixed his team some. But still be. Yep.
There we go. All right, man. So that wraps it up. We try to keep it close to an hour, but we like talking every once in a while here, man. So one last thing, of course, we got to hit you guys with before we get out of here. Make sure you guys come back here on Wednesday with us, man. I'll be here. I don't know if Frank will be here yet on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I will be here. And if you're here, we might have to jump into a Best Ball Mania 5 and try to draft a $1.5 million winner. If not, we'll probably do the $5 fast puppy. Those are 20-second picks, so we might even be able to knock out 2 of those in an hour.
Yeah.
But maybe we could do that. So we'll see. But either way, man, we're gonna do Best Ball Wednesday. We'll be coming at you guys with that. And of course, we do that with our boys over at underdogfantasy.com. You're running the production side, Frank. I'll let you get to that. So for those of you guys who don't know, Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports, from their best ball draft tournaments like we're talking about here with the Best Ball Mania 5, the Fast Puppy that we're talking about, the Chihuahuas, the Pugs. I mean, they got all the different names of all the different dogs in there. It's basically no season-long commitment. You just draft your team, no waivers, no trades, no setting your lineups weekly. The system does it for you. I was able to place 42nd out of 70,464 people last year in the Chihuahua 3, and turned my $4 entry into almost $400. But more importantly, 42nd place was pretty exciting, playing in the final week and almost getting there after a nice start Thursday night with David Njoku when he went wild, him and Flacco. So that was real nice. So it's very exciting, man. Again, I mentioned the drafts. They also have their pick'em contest where you can pick higher or lower on player stacks like total yards, touchdowns. They have their higher or lowers when it comes to even tackles and pass breakups, things like that for defensive guys if you're into that. So make sure you guys go visit underdogfantasy.com and sign up, or download the fastest growing fantasy app from your app store now. When you do sign up and use that promo code GetRight, you'll be able to claim one of those special pick'em entries, which is typically like plus or minus half a total yard or a point, just depending on what is going on, basketball, baseball season, whatever it is. And then you'll also get, more importantly, the 50% deposit match up to $250 in bonus cash. So if you deposit as little as $10, you'll get $5 in bonus cash. But if you take full advantage and deposit the full $500, you'll get $250 in bonus cash, and that's just basically free money to get you started. So what are you waiting for? Come download the app now, use that promo code GetRight, and let's jump in a draft or enter one of those pick'em contests together. So let us know.
For real.
All right, man. So other than that, you want to tell the folks about our boys over here that are new to the channel? They're not so
we got
new
some
now, but
new
still new.
affiliate guys here on the channel. Got 2 shows out there. Kind of Vanderbilt with the
Great
Fantasy
shows.
Football Tavern. Oh, we got 3 shows. I'm sorry, my bad. We also got here. So if you're looking to enjoy some hot takes and cold beers, be sure to tune in to Kendall with the Fantasy Football Tavern. We also got Phil Ruskin with the extra point here, fantasy football. Everyone likes scoring touchdowns, and you got to come out and kick the extra point. So tune into the extra point with Phil Ruskin live on Thursdays, because the extra point can be the difference between a win or a loss. And we're also, who else we got? Who's the third show here we got?
No, we're just 2 right now.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So these are the guys. Come check them out. Like I said, join
Links
our
are in the
sleeper channel. Come out here. Come mock with us this coming Friday night. But I think Anthony and I will be here on Wednesday doing a live mock draft here with
a real
Underdog.
draft, real money
draft here with Underdog Fantasy. So maybe you guys could join us there on that one. That's about it for tonight, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, man. So from all of us here, I Get Right, for our boy Tycoon, who was here earlier, for my guy Dustin.
Coming on Wednesday.
We got the rollback. Oh, he has a trade. Send me a DM, man, and we'll start the show off with it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But from all of us here, man, at Get Right, we appreciate you. We appreciate the questions. If you can get the question in before we leave, I don't know. Frank's in charge of the comments, so we may not get to it.
I just want to let you know.
So I don't know. Frank's trying to get out of here. We're already 23 minutes past. That's already like a half an extra show. But yeah, man, we got into some good stuff tonight, man. So I really enjoyed the show. Frank, thanks for being here with me, man, putting in the time. I really appreciate it. So for all of us here, I Get Right, man, have a great week. Again, next Thursday, Hall of Fame game. 44 more days until football. Week 1, actual fantasy points in your fantasy lineups. Let's get started. Let's get going. Take us out, Frank. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Best Ball Mania 5. Let's do it.
Let's go on that note. Where's it at? Here we're at.
Right fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.